If you're on a path right now that you feel like you've been clinging onto because your mind has been trying to create a path to your highest success, and you feel like things aren't working and you feel like you're hitting a lot of resistance, or you don't feel motivated, or you don't feel happy, that is a sign that the thing that would be in your highest good to choose would be surrender. Doing this work of allowing yourself to admit, maybe I don't know what's best. Maybe there is a part of me that does know, and that part of me is leading me in a totally different direction right now by creating resistance in this current career or in this current project. Welcome to the Rituals with Michaela podcast, a space for you to come as you are and tune into conversations that will support you on your path to becoming all that you're meant to be in this lifetime. I'm Michaela, a hypnotherapist and spiritual mentor. Daily rituals have been the most transformative tool in my healing and manifestation journey, and I want to share every piece of that wisdom with you. Think of this podcast as a weekly ritual for you to cultivate deeper awareness, inspiration, and connection to yourself. And most importantly, every episode will leave you with a simple ritual to integrate and embody everything you've learned. Whether you listen with your morning coffee, on your drive to work, or while you move your body, wherever you are, just take a deep breath, tune in, and turn this into your own special time just for you. Hi, my loves. Welcome back to the Rituals with Michaela podcast, and welcome back to my YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. Today, I'm going to be talking about, as always, a vulnerable subject that is something in my past I would have usually kept to myself, and definitely did keep to myself for a really long time, but I'm realizing that a huge part of my mission is to share about these topics that we keep bottled up within us due to shame and fear, and put them out there so that we can start to release that shame collectively. And today I felt really called to talk about the fear of admitting that we really don't know what we're doing. For so long, I have tried to put this image out there that I know exactly what I'm doing in my business, that I know exactly who I want to be, I know exactly what career that I'm meant to pursue, and it's something that I've really put out publicly ever since ever since I graduated from college. I've really tried to start my own business right away and move forward full steam ahead to avoid that really uncomfortable feeling of not knowing who I am, not knowing who I want to be, not knowing what I want to do with my life. And I think because of that, I've created this kind of illusion on my social media that I always know what I'm doing. I always know who I want to be. I always know what I'm interested in. I always know what I want to pursue. And I think a lot of that facade has come from this fear of admitting that I don't know, and that I'm still in the process of discovering who I'm meant to be and what I'm meant to do for my career. Yes, I work as a hypnotherapist right now. Yes, I have built certain things in my business, but I have this deep knowing inside of me that I'm still evolving, that I'm still in this process of really defining who I'm meant to be in my career. And I know that that is a process that could constantly be evolving. I don't know that I will ever get to a place where I feel completely certain that what I'm doing right now is what I want to do forever. And I think that's an illusion that so many of us are breaking through, because for so long, the narrative has been you choose something that you want to do and you do that thing for the rest of your life, and you don't ever question if you're meant to evolve out of that. Otherwise, you risk instability and you risk not being able to take care of yourself or take care of your family, and there's so much that goes into it. But I think that maybe one of the strongest things that we can do, and one of the most powerful moves we can make in our life, is to surrender to the fact that we don't know and that we're still in the process of figuring it out. I think this episode is mostly going to be surrounding career and building a business or deciding what you want to do for the rest of your life, but it definitely can be applied to any major milestones that you think you're supposed to be meeting. A lot of what we see on those more surface level social media platforms is a lot of people seemingly knowing exactly what they're doing in their life, exactly where they're headed, and having their shit together, right? And it showed up for me in a different way. Maybe I didn't pick a mainstream career to follow, but I definitely felt pressured to appear successful immediately and avoid showing any weakness to the world. I, for so long, have tried to put myself in so many different boxes. I've started several different businesses, worked with so many different mentors to try to figure out who I am, to try to get those businesses to be as successful as possible. And I have seen some success, and, I've found things that I feel are really in alignment for me, like working with hypnotherapy and working with one-on-one clients, creating meditations. There are little gems that I've figured out along the way. But the truth is that where I'm at in my life right now, even if it looks like I know exactly what I'm doing, I really don't know. I don't know where I'm headed. And that's scary to admit. It's scary to admit that to the world because it's seen as a weakness to admit that. But what I have realized is that being able to acknowledge that there is a part of me that is lost and confused and doesn't really know who I am or what I want, that is the first step to surrendering to the path that I'm meant to be on. Because there is a wiser part of me. My higher self knows exactly where I'm headed, knows exactly what I'm meant to be doing. But we avoid listening to that part of us when we cling on to our desire to have it all figured out already. I feel like for the past 6 years, I really have clung on to this need to have built this huge, successful social media presence and thriving business. And in that process, I've definitely kind of gripped onto things that I was meant to let go of and meant to learn from. And I think a huge part of that comes from believing that failure exists, believing that failure is this embarrassing thing that we need to avoid at all costs. Even that path that I was on for these past 6 years, where I was like needing to prove myself to the world and feeling like I needed to have this huge successful business already, even though that path came with so many failures and things that didn't go the way that I thought that they were going to go, and I felt hard on myself and wanted to give up at times and felt like something was wrong with me, I actually learned so much valuable information during that time of my life that has led me to where I am right now, in this space where I am starting to experience more success in my life and starting to feel more connected to myself. I think the truth is that the way so many of us are meant to live is in this space of surrender, of letting ourselves be shown the next steps in our lives. And that's really scary. We want to know the trajectory of our lives. We want to know where we're headed because it is hard to have faith. It is hard to trust. It's a lot easier to look at what somebody else did and try to mimic their path and do it exactly the way that they did it. I mean, that's really what we are pushed to do in this world, with that whole narrative of we all have to go to college, we all have to get a career or further our education after college. That's the only way to be successful. And that's why so many of us find ourselves completely disconnected from our higher self and from that highest timeline where we feel fulfilled and where we are in our most abundant and elevated state, is because we let that fear control us. And I've let it control me in so many ways, even though I thought that I wasn't letting that happen. I did for a really long time feel like I need to put out this illusion to the world that I know exactly what I'm doing, and I was afraid to be vulnerable. If we can just pull back from our current circumstances and allow ourselves to admit, even if it's just to yourself, you don't have to get on a podcast and share this with the world, but even just admit to yourself, it's okay that I don't know exactly where I'm headed. It's okay that I don't know exactly who I am or exactly what I want. It's okay that I just have little inklings of that. It's okay that I thought I wanted this thing, then I got it and realized I don't actually want that thing. That's all a part of the process. And it's so easy to see when you look back how everything happened for a reason, but when we're in the middle of it, we tend to resist it so much. So this is really a message about surrendering to that truth and not letting yourself compare yourself to anyone on social media who seems like they have it all together, who seems like they know exactly what they're doing. Because the truth is, I personally have never made a post that says, hey, I just started another business and then I gave up on it and I feel like a failure. I've never made a post about that, even though that's happened to me. I've never made a post saying, hey, I feel really depressed every day because I manifested something that I thought I wanted and it ended up not making me as happy as I thought it would. I've never shared that side of things until right now, and I'm trying to share those things more, but most people you see are not sharing those moments on social media. They're not sharing the fact that maybe they're in this career that looks really incredible, but there's a part of their soul that's like not fully happy in that thing. A lot of people don't even have the awareness of that, but most people would never share that in general because it is so scary to admit. Right now, I just want you to use this episode as a permission slip to stop telling yourself that everybody knows what they're doing, that everybody is so much further ahead than you, and start to really understand that you don't actually know where anyone is at. If you were looking at me and thinking, oh, Michaela has this hypnotherapy business, she has this podcast, she knows what she's doing. Yes, there is a part of me that is on my path. I'm on my path, but I don't feel fully solid. I don't really know where I'm headed. And what I do know is that things are changing really quickly for me right now. And they're changing so fast that if my human self were to grip onto the business that I've already built, or were to grip onto where I think I'm supposed to go, that I would completely miss the breadcrumbs that are being lined up for me to bring me on the path that I'm actually meant to be on. So if you're on a path right now that you feel like you've been clinging onto because your mind has been trying to create a path to your highest success, and you feel like things aren't working, and you feel like you're hitting a lot of resistance, or you don't feel motivated, or you don't feel happy, that is a sign that the thing that would be in your highest good to choose would be surrender. Pull back, do nothing, challenge yourself in that way, because we tell ourselves that doing nothing and pulling back and surrendering is the easier thing to do. But if you've actually tried it, you know how damn hard it is to surrender. You know how damn hard it is to pull back and let yourself be shown. And often what happens is like, we'll pull back for a little bit and then we'll tell ourselves, oh, it's not safe for me to do that. It's not safe for me to surrender. I have to continue to plan. I have to continue to fix everything and put it into place. And then we get back on that path where we feel out of alignment and nothing feels like it's flowing for us. Doing this work of allowing yourself to admit, maybe I don't know what's best. Maybe there is a part of me that does know, and that part of me is leading me in a totally different direction right now by creating resistance in this current career or in this current project. If you can surrender to that, what might happen is you might not be led right away onto that new path. You might be pulled into this place that people call the void or the dark night of the soul. It's a space where things have to be removed, things have to crumble, where you are challenged to go within yourself and ask yourself, who am I without these credentials, without this job title, without all of these things that I'm clinging onto to prove myself to the world? Who am I without that? And do I feel empty or shameful or hollow without these titles and without these things that I'm clinging onto? That's where the most powerful work you can do lies, is in that space where you're shedding and letting go and surrendering and starting to value yourself when you don't have anything going for you on the outside. I was talking to my mentor just now and saying, like, when people ask me what I'm up to or, what I'm doing for work right now, like, it's so tempting to just talk about, the clients that I'm seeing or the things that I'm doing that would like appease them. But the truth is, the majority of what I'm doing beyond that is surrendering, trusting, doing nothing, pulling back, letting go, speaking to myself kindly and learning how to value myself when I don't have anything else to attach myself to. And that's just like a really, really hard place to be. But that's why I'm creating this episode, is because I want you to know that it's okay to be in that place. And this is the place where you're kind of at that fork in the road where you could go back to those old patterns of feeling like you need to make everything happen, or you could pull back and let yourself be led on the path that is in your highest alignment, that is bringing you to your highest timeline, where you are so pleasantly surprised by the opportunities and the things that come into your life when you allow yourself to be humbled and just know that it's okay to say, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning as I go. I'm following my inspiration. I'm taking that action when I feel called. And when I don't feel called to take that action, I pull back. I don't try to force anything into place because I know that that action step is coming from a space within me that feels like I have to prove myself to the world, that I have to cover up all of these fears and insecurities of not knowing who I am without all of these external achievements. When you can really surrender and find the strength to let go of that, that's when life can really start to open up for you. And I hope that this episode is a catalyst for you to feel and know that it's okay to not know exactly where you're headed, but to just trust and to know that it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be scared because not knowing is scary. And if you can soothe that part of you that doesn't know, you'll be able to hear and listen to the part of you that actually does know. Because there is a higher self version of you who has done this before. There is a future version of you who is signaling you on which direction to go that will lead you to exactly what you want. And sometimes what we think we want isn't what we actually truly want at that soul level. So the more we can surrender and allow ourselves to be shown, the easier it will become for us. But this like dark night of the soul and point where you admit that you don't know what you're doing and you let go of all of your attachments, this is one of the hardest parts of that journey. And to put this into perspective for you, I don't think that this is going to be a forever phase of my life. And for you, if you're listening to this right now, it probably won't be a forever phase of your life either, where you're having to go through this dark night of the soul all the time in order to figure out who you're meant to be and to find that clarity. But I do think it's a necessary step if you want to live the life that you desire. We do not find clarity by choosing one thing and sticking to it. We find clarity by listening to our intuition, taking the next best step that we know how to take, and not telling ourselves that we failed if it doesn't turn out the way that we think it's supposed to turn out. Just trust that these steps that you're taking will lead you to where you're meant to be in a way that your mind literally could never predict. And the more that you ruminate and tell yourself, I'm a failure, I started all these businesses and they didn't work out, or I went to school for this and it didn't help me in any way, or I said yes to this job and it's not what I want, the more that you sulk in that and think that that's your permanent state, the harder it is for you to open yourself up to the next step that you're meant to take. The truth is that where you are is perfect right now. And if you can stop telling yourself the story that you've failed or you've messed something up or that you should be further ahead, it's so much easier to hear your guidance on where you're meant to go next. And the other thing that I want you to understand too is that from what I see with my mentors and even in my own life experience is that we can really want something at a certain phase in our lives. Like there are things that I've created within all of these different businesses that I've started over the past few years and all the different things that I've done. There were things that I created that I really wanted at one point. And then after a little while, like for example, working with clients one-on-one for a while was the thing that I really, really wanted. And now I'm realizing that I really want to serve more people and that I don't want one-on-one clients as much anymore. In the beginning of my business, that was my dream to have a full roster of one-on-one clients. Now that is no longer my dream, but that doesn't mean that I've messed anything up by creating this for myself. It just means that I'm continuing to evolve and to create a business that is so much more aligned with what I truly want at a soul level. And I think we get really stuck when we think, well, this is the thing that made my business successful. This is where I found the success in my career. I have to stay here. And we don't listen to that little whisper. If you listen to that little whisper, so many doors will start to open up for you and you will be led. Trust that. Know that. And know that anybody that is truly, truly happy in their life and in their business and in their career, they have a level of surrender of knowing that We do not stay the same throughout our lives. We are constantly growing. We are constantly learning that we want different things. I'm a different person than I was even 3 months ago, never mind 6 years ago. So it's so important to let go of that grip, let go of control, and allow yourself to just kind of throw your hands up and enjoy the ride of building your career and building your life, and not make it mean anything about you if certain things fail, because failure is truly always, 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 always a redirection in the direction that you're meant to be headed in. And if you're having a hard time doing this, I have a ritual for you, of course, which is to ask yourself the following questions. Ask yourself, who are you trying to prove yourself to? What are you afraid will happen if you let go of control, if you stop trying to plan and predict? What are you afraid will happen? Who are you afraid is judging you? Who do you feel like you need to prove yourself to? And as you write about that, I just invite you to hold yourself in that and let yourself know it is valid to be afraid of these things. It's understandable that you're scared. It's understandable that you want people to approve of you. We've been taught to seek approval our entire lives. And the more that you can hold those parts of you and just validate their experience, the easier it will be for you to move forward in that strength and in that knowing that while yes, there is a part of you that's afraid, while yes, there is a part of you that feels like you need to prove yourself and you're afraid that maybe people are judging you or preying on your downfall, that you do not take action for those people. You do not take action based out of fear, based off of trying to cling onto an outcome that you think you need. You are a divine being, and you have so much power within you to connect to your higher self, to hold all of those parts of you, to feel that fear and not take action from that place. Allow yourself to pull back. Take care of those parts of yourself, hold yourself in that fear. And the second part to the journal is to explore what is the best case scenario of what could happen if I were to pull back and let go. If your dream opportunity started to land in your life, if doors that you could probably never imagine opened up for you, let yourself start to imagine that, but don't attach to it being that specific thing. Just get yourself in the energy of miracles and unexpected doors opening, new paths opening up for you. There are so many different ways that these opportunities and life-changing occurrences could come into your life that will bring you onto a path that you're actually meant to be on. And even though we can't predict it, it can be fun to play around in that energy of miracles to help open your heart to this knowing and trusting that there are so many different ways that your life could change. There are so many different ways that you could evolve onto that higher timeline. And my message to you is please trust and know that it is safe for you to admit, I don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay. I don't know exactly where I'm headed, and that's okay. Hold yourself and love yourself through this process and trust that you will be shown. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this video and you're watching on YouTube, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more vulnerable, inspirational messages from my own personal healing journey. And thank you again so much for listening. I love you so much.